Good afternoon. Hi. Sorry, hang on 2 seconds. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, that was funny. That was great.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Practical Budgeting Lives. And this week is our first week on Does It Really Save Money? And our topic today are air fryers.
Air fryers.
Air fryers.
To air fry or not to air fry?
And that is the question. That is the question.
Yes.
Yes. So we're just going to have a very quick hello to chat. We have Annette from Our Urban Homestead. Hello, my darling. Claire, hello. I was early, go me. Hey, everyone. Hello. And going slowly nowhere. Hello, darling. Yes, I have the giggles. Nanny Tam, hi, honey. I hope you are feeling better.
I think she is.
Lots better. And Rebecca from Suburban Hillbilly, she's come in. One of my dogs has a vet appointment. No worries, honey. You just do you. It's all good. So, today we are here to discuss the good, the bad, and the fugly about air fryers.
Okay.
We're not here to demonize them. We're not here to promote them. In fact, we aren't promoting any particular brand or anything like that. Or, what we want to look at are the ins and outs, whether it is economically worthwhile, what you can and can't do with them, and if there's any tips, tricks, and other things that we can discuss to do with them as well. Okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to be looking at it from the UK point of view, and Mr. Tony over here is going to be looking at it from the point of view of you guys over the pond. Okay?
Yeah, no, let's not do that, please.
Yeah. I'm glad you're feeling better, Nanny. That's really cool. That's awesome. So what we're going to look at first is the cost of the machine. Okay, so
varying.
They do indeed. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at a page on my Google. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this, obviously, it shows all the main ones, which are all very much ninjaed.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of range in price. As you can see, there's a lot of, being January, it's the January sales, so you've got a lot of sales on. And you're kind of ranging quite a lot of different prices up here, but they're all quite high ranged prices. I would call them high ranged prices.
Yep.
So, the most expensive being almost £300 at full price, which is very much an investment, But right. If you go down here, you start seeing these ones, which aren't branded, and they're a lot cheaper. We're working into the realms of £30, around about £30 a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're starting to go back up again, and finding the mid-range machines and stuff like this. Okay, so you're really looking at anywhere between around about 30 quid to up to 300, depending on what you want to spend, which, that, either way, it's going to be an investment, because it is a piece of, I would say it's a piece of main equipment for you, for your kitchen.
Right.
Kind of thing. So you want to be looking at what you're going to be getting for that money. Now, a lot of the cheaper machines are in the lower wattage, which is, around about 7 to 800 watts, which on the surface sounds fine, but the ones like the Ninjas are around about 2,000 watts, which is quite a lot more. So why would you get one that's 800 watts if you can get one that's 2,000 watts? Or why would you get one that's 2,000 watts if you can get one for 800 watts? Because people look at these things and they think, how are we saving money here? And the thing is, with the lower ones and the cheaper ones, which a lot of people who don't have sort of money to spend on investment pieces like the Ninjas, etc., and they'll be looking at, I can get one for 30 quid, that's going to be fine, but it's going to take you twice as long to cook what you're cooking in them. Yep. So you're going to be using relatively the same
excuse me,
possibly more electric on the smaller machines that are cheaper than on the more expensive machines. So that's something
just for clarification, because you're doing multiple batches. That's what we're speaking about.
But even if you're doing a single batch, it's still going to take you longer to cook that single batch than it is, in a higher wattage machine.
All I'm trying to clarify, which you are correct, is that the cheaper ones have smaller space, and so you're going to have to do. You're either going to run it longer, or you're going to have to do multiple batches to get the same that a more expensive one might do.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and that's, they're all considerations, and they're things that you need to think about when you go to buy yours. I mean, just because it looks cheap, is it really going to save you money in the long run?
Right.
Is it something that's got? Are you a family that may need to have something like a 23-liter one, which is the one that looks like a fancy toaster oven, which is the one on the right, and I think the second one on the left? Or are you just a family that, or just yourself, that may just need one that's got one little drawer in it that does like a 2-liter or a 4-liter or something like that?
Right. So I think what's important to put there, though, is that just what you're saying, but just to spell it out.
Yeah.
Each person in each family has to look at what they need and what their needs are and what their end result
Absolutely.
they're looking for. That will dictate the price you pay, Absolutely.
And it's also looking at what your needs are. This is not a piece of equipment that you want to just go, oh, look, it's pretty, it's shiny, I need one, and just buy it. It's something that you need to do a little bit of research into before you go ahead and buy them.
Right.
And by doing what we're doing on the live today, we're hoping to take some of that legwork off you and give you some more ideas of things that you need to think about before you go out and make a purchase like this.
Right. Okay. And again, I think one more thing, just based on the comments I'm looking at. This isn't a air fryer bashing session. That's not what we're here doing. We're here just saying, make sure you're buying what is economically feasible for you and your family, depending on what the size of the product or the item is and what your end result is you're trying to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's have a really quick look at chat, because there's some stuff going on over here. Hang on a second.
Yes.
Going Slowly Nowhere says, yikes, that's almost Norwegian prices now. Yes. And Annie says some here in Australia are about $800. Yes, which would be comparable to what we're spending over here as well. Ashley, hello, darling, from Ashley's Allotment Adventures. Rebecca says, I love my air fryer. Got it on sale 4 years ago. I think I paid $129 US. I don't have to heat up my whole kitchen. I don't have to wait for the oven to heat up. And I'm not using a ton of expensive oil. It's a Ninja 9-in-1. Awesome. Tony with an A is here. Hello,
Yes.
darling. How you doing? It's good to see
Hello.
you. Nanny Tam says, my late daughter-in-law loved her air fryer, but honestly, it takes up too much space and it's not that much faster than the oven, maybe a bit more economical. Annette says, I love mine too. It's been a savior with all the ridiculous hot weather we've been experiencing at the moment. Carlene Vasseur is in the house. Hello. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Ashton says, forget the air fryer, order a takeaway. Nice. Hello, Glitter World. Welcome in, sweetheart. It's good to see you. Welcome in. Okay.
I think that was something you and I had a conversation about, is it really every one of us are going to find different reasons. Either we like it or we don't like it. We want it or we don't. And again, it really comes down to personal need, use, or want. Okay. But the reality of it is that you can do basically the same thing in your oven. Now, I get what Annette's saying in the middle of the summer, because we had this conversation. In the middle of summer, it's a lifesaver because you're not putting that extra heat out for no reason. Get it 100%.
Absolutely, it is.
If it's only one or two of you and you're trying to, make your, say, fish fillets, crispier, I get it. I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is that we've gotten to a point where convenience is more of the runner of the game. That's really what it comes down to.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's about how you cook your food and, what you want to be doing it and that kind of thing. So it's looking at those, and hopefully we're going to answer some of those questions for you today, or give you some other ones to think about. Okay, Carlene says, I have 2 air fryers and I love both of them, use them every day. Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, so we've looked at the price of them, and they do vary in design. They vary in size. They vary in a lot of different things.
Right.
Okay.
So just because we're doing both sides, my location, your location, mine run about the same. I've found some that were $39.99, and I did see one that was $3.75. So they're running roughly, excluding the dollar rate, they're running about the same. I got to change this because I'm right in the sun. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
But you're going to have to deal with the light on the other side. So
that's fine. That's all good. So we've looked at the price of them, and they kind of definitely range from affordable or more affordable to the definite investment piece.
Right.
But you need to really look at the box and see what you're getting, because, you need to know what size you're getting and what that actually means. If they've got one on display, have a really good look at it and think about what it is that you cook that would be worth putting in there rather than turning the oven on for. So looking at that, you want to also look at what the wattage is. Now, the wattage is really, really important, and I have something to share with you guys. Electric over here is, I think we worked it out last night, it's 4 times more expensive than your electric over there now.
On US average, not one specific location. Yes.
Yeah. So on average over here, and that was an average for us as well. Okay. It's 4 times your average.
Yes.
What we pay.
For price of a kilowatt hour. Yes.
Yeah. So price of a kilowatt hour for you guys was somewhere between 13 and 19 cents. Is that right?
Ish, yeah, depending on
who. Other than roundabout, hold on to your pants, guys. It's anywhere from £1 to £1.29
for the same amount of time.
For the same amount of time.
Right.
Okay, so we have to when I tell you guys that, people here are definitely choosing whether to heat or eat, there's a reason for that. Now, when you've got a prepayment electric meter and you're only able to put, say for Tanny and I, we were only putting £20 on ours a week. Mm-hmm. It used to cost us around about, and this was 3 years ago, don't forget, it was costing us then, it was costing us about £1.20 for a load of washing. And that's just the
electricity.
And that's the electricity. Okay. So and I'm saying 3 years ago, because our electricity prices since then have more than doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're just looking to do the weekly clothes, because that's all we can get in our washing machines, you guys have these wonderful top loaders, which I really miss mine. But we have front loaders and they only go to a certain level. Mm-hmm. So you can only put in one load that has the week's clothes in, and then you can't get the household washing in that. So you've got your clothes washing, and then you've got to dry it. And if that's costing you £1.50 a go, just to do the washing and drying for one load, and then you've got to do the household washing on top of that, that's now £3 out of your £20 of electric. You have to really think about each and every single thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having to think about that, that's where it starts to get really, really complicated.
Right.
So it does matter how you're cooking, and it does matter how you're doing these things, So that's kind of where I'm coming at with this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I still have a bit of a cough. I'm trying not for it to be a problem, though. Okay. So what have we got in chat? I have a 4 litre and a 10 litre, but I use my oven if I'm using the whole thing, all shelves, etc. Then I leave oven open after using to warm downstairs up. There you go. See, that's Claire.
Whole chance he's calling me. I don't know.
Suburban Hillbilly says that's why I chose the air fryer that I did. It flips up when not in use. Nanny Tam says the one we have is just too small. I'd love to have the multifunction one. That is like a toaster oven, but they're so expensive. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley just said, did anyone else spot the label of
mine?
Word?
So if he's looking at mine.
Price tag on it still? Seriously?
Yeah. Okay, but you got to remember, this was a Christmas gift. It's a Starbucks cup. I don't go buy Starbucks cups. It was a Christmas gift for Patty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Colleen says, I have one that has a basket and the other one that air fries, bakes, broils, and rotisserie. Cool. Annette says, pardon my ignorance, but does the UK have a power company that sends out quarterly bills? Not sure how it works. Yes. All of the companies send out quarterly bills. Okay. But 2/3 of the country and those who are in council properties, for the most part, have prepayment meters. And the reason for that is that people have got themselves into problems with electric before and gas prices, and this is a way to stop that from happening. And if people have been on a bill and they have got themselves into trouble, the gas companies or the electric companies will come out and change the meter to a prepayment meter so that you're not without electric or gas, but they take £10 extra off every week to pay for your debt. So they will take that off, and then you're paying your electric on top of that £10. Okay. So, yeah, but there is quarterly bills. Tanny and I have a quarterly bill. And yeah, so there is that as well. But for the majority of people over here that live in council properties or who are in rental properties, they will have a prepayment meter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just to protect the landlords, it's to protect the next tenant, it's to protect people in general, so that no one's without gas and electric, and that they can still pay their bills off.
You have to have a concrete place.
Okay.
So yeah.
I need to take just a sec. I have to make a phone call for.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
He said,
Yeah, no problem. Okay. No, that's fine. I'm always happy to clarify. Nanny Tam says, my granddaughter pays as she goes. I tried to explain that it's costing her more, but she feels this is best for her. And I get that. Claire says, I have prepayment and my neighbor pays monthly. I'm paying nowhere near what she pays. It's stupid. I choose prepayment mainly because I'd forget to save the money. And that's the truth of it right there. I used to get myself into an awful mess when it came to the electric and gas. I try and put the money away, and of course life comes and something happens, and then that money's got to go somewhere else. It used to get you into a lot of trouble. So rather than going without the electric and gas, sometimes it's a better option. Okay, Rebecca, no worries, darling. You take care. Look after yourself, please. All right. So while Tony's off doing his phone call, we're going to watch a little thing where money-saving expert in this country called Martin Lewis, who is very well respected. He's seen on mainstream media. He does his own media. He doesn't pull his punches, and he doesn't, kowtow to the companies, etc. We'll give you the skinny on the cost of running an air fryer. Okay, so we're going to do that next.
Okay.
Here we go. There we are. All right, now I need you guys to let me know if you can hear this properly. I hope you can.
50 watts. You then need to remember that
1,000 watts
is a kilowatt.
Okay.
So 50 watts is around a 20th of that. And then you pay roughly, very rule of thumb, it does depend on where you are and how you're paying, but roughly 34p per kilowatt per hour. So if you had a heated gilet on for an hour, it's around a 20th of 34p, which is around 1.7p per hour. Now, where this comes into is what that gentleman was talking about when he was talking about the spatchcock chicken. An
It's
oven
really
is
glitchy,
typically
just so you know.
1,000 watts. So you're paying.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
From my perspective, it is. I don't know about everybody else, but it is a
Okay.
little.
Okay. Breaking up, just a little choppy. Hi, there you go, Umstead. Nice to see you. Is everyone else having an issue with watching it? Glitchy. Okay. Okay. Bugger. I was really hoping to do that. All right. Okay, so we'll take that off because obviously that's not working. I wish it was. I'm sorry about that. But we have very, very cold weather here, and our internet seems to be being affected by it.
Yes.
I wasn't even able to load that page just before, so apologies. But what he is saying is this. Basically, his premise is this. An air fryer is fine if you're only using it up to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
In comparison to using an oven. Okay. Of the same wattage. So an oven would probably be at 2000 watts. So, you know, and if you've got like the Ninjas or whatever, which are also 2000 watts, as long as you are only using that air fryer for 20 minutes, it is comparable and cheaper than using the oven. The reason being, for the oven, you have to wait for the heat up time. Okay. That's the only reason why.
Right.
Over and above that, if you're having to do batches of 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, because you're doing 2 or 3 things and your air fryer isn't going to fit it all, you're better off turning on the oven.
Right.
Okay. But if you're only wanting to do a couple of handfuls of chips or fries or whatever you want to call them, a couple of handfuls of chicken nuggets or whatever, the air fryer is a good idea.
Right.
Okay. But for doing full meals, like a roast dinner, not so much.
Right.
Okay. It's also really good for heating up food that if you put it in the microwave, it's going to come out soggy because you're going to get a crispier finish off the air fryer. And that's what he's saying. Now, he's not talking about the ones with the drop-down doors that have the rotisserie in them. He's only talking about the ones with the drawers in them. The ones with the baskets. Now, the ones with the baskets, I'm more focused on than the ones with the door. And I'll tell you for why. Because they're the ones that the people who don't have a lot of money are buying. Right?
Spot on.
Okay? They're the ones that the people who don't have the money to spend are buying the £30 product. Now, the £30 product only comes with the baskets. It's not one of the drop-down door ones. Right. It's a completely different item. And those are the ones that I am focusing my information on. All right? Okay, so let's very quickly have a look in chat because something just happened in here. Okay. And he says, yeah, we pay a set amount each fortnight for the gas, water, and power. Yeah, we do the same. Ashley says we're all electric, cooking, heating, hot water, and we're on a prepayment meter. Yeah. See, now these are the people that are everyday people over here.
Right.
Okay. Good people, work hard, still are struggling because of what's going on. All right. Here in Australia, they're trying to phase out natural gas appliances. Yeah, they're trying to do that everywhere. Handful of chicken, Ashley. Handful of chicken nuggets. Lol, me and my stepdaughter once ate 32 chicken nuggets with dips. Wow. Oinka.
but okay. Here we are, though. He brings up the point we got to last night when we were talking.
Yes. Yes.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to jump into it, or do you want to wait? I don't even know if you're ready for that yet.
You can talk about that. That's cool. Let's go for it.
So one of the things to look at is I have a nephew. They had a car accident, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, but everybody's okay. But anyway, the reality of what an air fryer does is that it's a second generation microwave. That's the reality of it.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm not saying it is a microwave. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's really intended for convenience and convenience of processed foods, frozen foods, freezer items, things like that. Now, because Blue and I had the conversation, I'm excluding in that conversation the freezer items you make at home. I'm not talking about those. Okay. because most of those are made with your hands, your love, your care. You know what's in it. You know all that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about those things. Okay.
Yeah.
I am talking about the chicken nuggets, the egg rolls, the taquitos, the burritos, the
sausage rolls, the pasties,
sausage rolls, the whatever else.
Yeah.
The pre-processed foods. This was invented to make that job so much easier, even though they marketed it a different way. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
My whole point in saying that is that if we're switching, and again, I'm not knocking anybody that uses, because I have one that I use here. I'm not saying nobody should have one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the reality is that it extends us from doing homemade items. That's the thing I worry about, because one of the drives is trying to get us back to knowing your kitchen, knowing your foods, knowing how to do it, knowing how, you know, that kind of thing. It disables that approach. Okay.
However, if you are a person that is what you can afford, we're not here to knock that either.
Yes, and I agree with you 100% on that.
If you've only got a tenner to feed your family for the week, and then the freezer aisle is your best friend. We all know that. We're not stupid.
No,
and we're not here to knock that in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Yeah. So we've all been there. We've all had to do it at some point in our lives.
Yep.
You know, I've been there with my kids where I've only had like 5 packets of noodles and some frozen veg to feed my kids for 3 days, you know, so I get it. Completely get it.
Or let's be honest, 14-year-olds change their food opinions daily. So, I mean, I get that too, you know.
Exactly right. You know, and let's be honest, it's so much cheaper to go out and buy a 2.5 kilo bag of chicken nuggets for like 2 or 3 quid than it is to go out and buy a whole chicken. And you're going to get more meals out of the chicken nuggets than you are out of the one chicken that you can buy for the same price.
Unless you're Ashley, because you eat 32 of them at a sitting. But
yes, unless you're Ashley, and then, you know, we'd rather feed him for a day than a week, you know.
Right. But my whole point in what I'm trying to say is that the reality of what the item was theoretically intended for was the quick approach to processed foods. Okay.
Yes.
Because this country here in the US, I'm speaking US only, is geared towards getting you to utilize said processed foods more than it is homemade foods. Okay. It's
we here in the UK have entire supermarkets that are geared for selling frozen foods. We've got one that's very obviously called Iceland.
For a reason. Why, Blue?
Yeah, because it sells everything that's on ice.
There you go.
We have one that's called Farm Foods, but that is not really Farm Foods. It's all freezers. You walk in there and they're all chest freezers as far as the eye can see. You know, with very little fresh produce, very little of anything but pre-processed, very highly processed, ready to go food. All right.
And the whole point I'm trying to get to, which ties back into what she's saying as well. I'm not knocking whether you use it. I'm not knocking whether you don't use it. I'm not knocking why you use it. I'm not knocking any part of it. I get it. It steers us more in a direction of not making homemade, fresh food. Yeah. And that's the reality of it. Because you have a list of things you should not do with your air fryer, which I think really tie into that part of it.
I do. I have a list of the top 10 things you cannot cook or shouldn't do with your air fryer. When I went through this list with my sister, she sat there and went, well, what does it do then?
That's what I thought after I got off with you.
Yeah, I'm like,
really, what does this thing really do if you're not?
What are we really doing with it? Okay, so again, we are talking about the ones that have the drawers in it.
Right.
We're not talking about the one with the rotisserie in it. We are talking about the ones with the drawers in it because they are the most popular. They're the cheapest. They're the ones that the people who don't have a lot of money are going to go for, right?
Right.
Number one, you don't put a full chicken in it. You can't roast a chicken in it. I know. Not a whole chicken. The reason being because the element is up the top. And all you're going to do is cook the top of the chicken, burn it out, dry it out, and the bottom's going to be raw. So what they suggest that you do is you cut it into pieces. And if you are if you are going to cook a whole chicken, stop it, Ashley.
Ashley, that did not help at all.
Turn the oven on and put your sides in there at the same time, Cook your chicken in the oven if you want a whole chicken. Do your roast veg. Make as much use of that room in your oven as possible. If you need to get a cake rack and put it on the bottom of your oven so you've got a third rack, do that, but not to put a whole chicken in there. You can only really put pieces, and you can't layer the pieces either. Right.
Patty's chuckling at the melted ice.
Is she? Damn it.
Only Ashley can get away with that sometimes.
Only Ashley can get away with that because he's my mud and I love him. Right. He's adorable and we all adore him. And if you're not following him, go and give him a follow, will you? He's lovely.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though he eats 32 nuggets with his...
We'll have to put him next to Beard Meat's food, I reckon. See if they can have a nugget off.
Oh, wait. He qualifies the whole process because they had ice cream afterwards, so.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Ashley might need a medium ostrich to get enough nuggets. Stop it. Okay. We're trying to be sensible here. And
go ahead.
Information in it.
Go on to your next subject.
Okay. So the next thing you can't cook in an air fryer, or you shouldn't cook in an air fryer, is rice. Now, it's come to the attention of the people who make them that people have been trying to use them as a rice cooker. It's not a sensible thing.
I'm not knocking anyone, but why would you want to use an air fryer to cook rice?
Because they don't have a rice cooker.
Okay, that's what a pot and pan's for then.
I understand that, but they're not wanting to turn on the electric.
I get it. I'm just like...
So you can see the knock-on effect and you can see why it's happening. Okay? You can use the air fryer to reheat cooked rice.
Reheating cooked rice, I get.
Right?
Cooking uncooked rice,
uncooked rice is not a good idea. And the reason being, again, the element is at the top. Rice needs a full around it heat to cook properly, or a base heat, not a top heat. So what you find is that the top rice cooks and the bottom rice does not cook. And as we all know, mixing cooked rice and raw rice is not a great idea and can cause not good things to happen.
Oh my Lord, shut that door.
You're better off getting a rice cooker, or if you have a slow cooker, you can cook rice in your slow cooker.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
Oh Lordy.
Yes. So number 3 is dry rubs and seasonings. If you are going to put seasonings on things, it is suggested that you put it on as a paste or mixed with oil, like veg oil or butter or some kind of meat fat, right?
You're saying not just a plain dry rub, just poured over the top of it.
Yeah, no, because as soon as that dries out on the surface, those herbs and spices get caught up in the air vortex that's inside it and can not only burn on the element,
right,
but they can cause smoking and fires. So it's not a good idea, apart from the fact that you'll get nasty burnt bits all over your food, if nothing else.
We talked about this last night too. Then the food you cook afterwards in it will have that flavor stuck to it because it's just
absolutely. So number 4 are wet batters. So we're talking things that you might dip fish in. You might dip, chicken pieces in, or, prawns or whatever, to do like chicken balls or whatever. Because wet batters need the oil to create that seal around them so that they cook the inside.
Right.
If you do that in the air fryer, you don't have that, and it will just literally pour off and solidify. It won't crisp, and you're likely to have that. It's not going to be nice.
Oh.
It's not going to be nice.
I agree.
Okay, not a good idea. What they do suggest you do is do a dredge and then breadcrumb or cornmeal rather than butters, if you want to go that kind of crispy outer coating way. Okay, but not dry breadcrumbs or cornmeal, because again you'll get that whole vortex thing going on. Olive oil has a very low smoke point.
Ooh, you can't go through a whole set.
And is not suggested to be used in the air fryer, because it will smoke and could smoke the whole thing out, and it will leave your food tasting of tainted, burnt olive oil, which is not nice. But
are you trying to make me not hungry because you're really succeeding at it?
Well, I'm just giving you what the experts give you, right? Now, they have said that you can use vegetable oils if that's what you want to do, or meat fats like lard, tallow, butter, that kind of thing. Or ghee. Ghee's a really good one rather than butter, because again, butter has a low smoke point as well, but ghee has a much higher one. So you still got to get the buttery taste, but without the low smoke point, without the burning fat. So, yeah.
But can I throw one of mine into that? Whenever you add it, make sure you're outside of the element system itself. Move the basket off to the side, then do what you need to, and then put it in. Don't ever do it while it's sitting in the housing unit.
No, and don't use sprays.
And sprays. That was the other one. Yeah.
Do not use sprays.
It will ruin your device. That's the simple way.
It will absolutely ruin your device. Yep. Okay, so the next one is delicate leafy greens, or any kind of food that has no weight to it. So the reason being, you have this wonderful air vortex with an heating element up the top, and that stuff's going to get picked up by that and whack. So you're going to either end up with it getting stuck on the element and burning, or possibly burning anyway but dropping down and ending up with burnt food at the bottom and smoke. Again, with the smoke issue. Use it. You can do... Yeah. Oh my God, you guys. Seriously. Salad go, wee! Yes. Exactly that. Thank you.
Oh.
So, yeah, but things like if it's already pre-cooked. So say, for example, you've got collard greens that you guys in the States might have used. Or for us, it would be something like silver beet or chard that we've already pre-wilted and we're trying to heat it back up or mix it in with something else. You can do that because it's already wet. It's not going to lift. It's quite a heavy kind of thing.
Right.
Right. Now, they also suggest you don't put raw vegetables in it at all.
Now, this is what tied into what I was saying.
Yes.
With the previous conversation, was that it is not geared to using fresh vegetables, things like that, if it's used correctly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead and finish.
So, no, that's okay.
I wanted to make that connection as to why I thought this was important next.
Absolutely. Well, it has that top element, and it does have the air vortex. In a fan forced oven, that element would be at the back, the fan would be coming from the back, and it would be a lot easier to use, right? So that it would be more effective and you could use that. That wouldn't be a problem. However, it's not made that way, and the heat is at the top, the vortex goes vertically, the food will cook on the outside, not on the inside. And if you do leave it in there for long enough, it will turn to mush and overcook and be inedible. It's not a pleasant way to go. What they do suggest is that you use frozen veg.
Right.
And people have been able to do that with a great lot of success. So if you are going to be cooking vegetables in it, try and go for frozen rather than fresh. And just for the record, there's nothing wrong with frozen veg. It's snap frozen, usually on site, where it's been picked within an hour of being picked.
And we've talked about this, and I know somebody else made that point. Sometimes your frozen fruit and vegetable is the freshest you're gonna get because of that,
Yeah.
So
whereas your fresh veg could have been sitting in a warehouse for the past year.
Right.
So again, up to you, up to what your money is, what you want to be doing. But yeah, if you're bringing stuff in from the allotments, better put it in the oven or to put it in the freezer and then in the air fryer if that's what you want to do.
Oh, and that works too.
Okay, so the next one, I'm probably going to get yelled at by people in chat, but they do suggest that you do not cook bacon and fatty meats in it.
How dare you say something?
I know everyone wants to cook bacon in the air fryer. Okay, I get it. But you have an air vortex in there. That fat is going to fly, not just in the basket, but all through the chamber. And it's going to go up the element. Now, if you've ever done bacon in a broiler, what you guys call a broiler, what we call a grill over here, that can cause fires because that is spitting everywhere and it can cause fires. We don't want that.
Right.
We also don't want to take an hour and a half afterwards to clean the whole thing. Not just the basket, but the element, the behind the element, the in front of the element, all around the chamber, and then have to do it over again because it's still got that fatty residue on it. Okay, what they do say is that you can use things like turkey bacon, ham, and plant bacon substitutes.
Wouldn't that kind of be the same thing, though? I mean, you're still kind of cooking the same thing.
You are, but it doesn't have the fat content.
Yeah, but it's still going to cook and sizzle and splatter.
Not to the same extent.
Okay.
Because if you put it in there dry, they tend to be quite lean options. So they don't have the fat off the rind or the other thing.
I get that. My brain's visualizing something different. So go ahead. I'll just stay out of it.
Exactly. Okay. Now, some air fryers have a dehydrator option. Now, the guy who was the chef for Ninja
dehydration
has a dehydrator option on some of their models has actually come out and said, don't use it as a dehydrator. Because most people put things in there that are far too small. They forget that it's going to shrink down to about a quarter of its size or fifth of its size. And as soon as it does that, it becomes light. And it's like chucking a bag of peas into a tornado. And that's his words. Okay. So he says it's incredibly dangerous unless you are doing large items. So if you want to do things like strips of jerky, like good pieces of jerky, or if you're wanting to do big slices of things like potatoes and stuff, or lemon slices, or, all that kind of stuff, that's fine.
Right.
But if you're wanting to do things like frozen vegetables to make a bouillon powder or grated zucchini or courgette or something like that. Not a good idea, because as soon as that gets any kind of dry, it will start to fly around the machine.
Right.
And last but not least is popcorn. Don't do it, people. Don't do it. It's not a popcorn popper. The majority of air fryers are not supposed to go over 200 degrees Celsius, which is like 400 degrees Fahrenheit. They're not supposed to. And if they do, it's only for a short amount of time. But as soon as they get to that temperature, they'll actually drop themselves off. Mm-hmm. All right, because they're not supposed to be up that high. It is a plastic piece of equipment. It's not meant for high temperature. And if you put it in the oven for over that kind of temperature, it will melt. Now, popcorn needs to be at 200 degrees Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit, to even think about starting to pop. So you're better off doing it the old-fashioned way. And either if you don't want to use the pan, to do it in the microwave, get a bunch of like takeaway paper bags, chuck some in there and let it go. If that's your option, you know, because it'll happen. It'll work. Okay, so they're the top 10 things not to do with your air fryer and the options that you can do without. And as I said, when my sister saw that list, she was like, well, what can you do in it?
Right.
Right. And as we said, like I said to Tony yesterday, I said, one of the things that worries me is that you see a lot of pictures of people who have done pastry in there. Now, pastry needs to be at a certain temperature, if it's raw pastry, to be able to cook properly. So if you've put raw pastry in there, so this one's my little additive to this, it won't cook all the way through before it burns on the outside. And it won't cook on the bottom because it's only got the element up the top and there's nothing to heat up the base of the item. Mm-hmm. If you are going to put pastry in there, make it something that's already pre-cooked that just needs a bit of warming through and a bit of a crisp up. So say, for example, you want to put a pie in, or a pasty or a sausage roll or something like that, or a turnover or whatever, but you don't want to put it in the microwave, you want to put it in the air fryer to crisp up, you can do that, but don't cook raw pastry in it because it doesn't get up to the temperatures you need to cook it properly all the way through. So we're now back to, is it worth it? Okay.
And I think the easy from my approach over here in the US is that it really comes down to your situation, what you're looking for, end results.
Yes.
And is it primarily about convenience?
Yes. Yes. So we're just going to have a really quick look at chat and then we can have a bit of a discussion on it. I have seen videos of people boiling eggs in the air fryer. Yes, they're not technically boiled eggs. They are baked eggs, but it is possible to do so. But you need to be incredibly careful when you do to make sure that it is properly cooked.
No, I'm out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, though, it's do I boil 12 of them on the stovetop and know how to do it, or do I take my chance of wasting 12 eggs and making a huge mess and ruining the machine?
There is that.
So
there is that. But I think the instruction manual that comes with it, I think there's something that tells you what sort of timeage to do that kind of thing. Going Slowly Nowhere says, I've seen rice cooked in thermoses. I have as well. I've even done it. It's brilliant. It actually works. I've got a couple of tips to show you.
That's for a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show, and we will be doing things like that. Okay. It is safe. It's fine. Thermoses keep things hot for a very, very long time. So it's fine. But it's one of those things that you set it and forget it, and you've got rice for the morning. Or you do it in the morning, so it's there ready for you in the evening.
Right.
That kind of thing. Carlene says, I've seen videos of people trying to pop popcorn in air fryer. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Exactly.
I'm with you.
Ashley says, I'm hungry. You guys keep talking chicken. Going slowly nowhere says, I mean, when pigs can fly, might be a good thing. Ashley says, my fresh vegetables are fresh. I cook some after harvesting and blanch and freeze the rest. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Carlene actually says, I don't cook bacon in my air fryer because it smokes too much. Smoke sets off the smoke alarm.
Yep.
Exactly right. That's our point. Ashley says, I have a dehydrator. Some would call it a tumble dryer. Going slowly nowhere is saying, so we get soggy bottoms. I would imagine that's talking about the pastry. Yes, we get soggy bottoms, and no one likes the soggy bottom.
Or well, unless you're here in the U.S. and then you get Soggy Bottoms USA. That's an old movie. That's an old movie reference. Sorry.
Oh, okay. See, Bake Off over here started the whole soggy bottoms thing. Was it Bake Off? Yeah, it was Bake Off. And saying about soggy bottoms on your pastry. Whether you had a soggy bottom on your pastry. So, yeah, no, we don't like soggy bottoms.
Nobody likes soggy bottoms.
No, we don't like soggy bottoms. Carlene says, I say for me, it's a yes to my air fryers, which is fine, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Ashley says, I can cook an egg on my bald head.
Not even going to go there.
Nanny Tam says, boil eggs for 3 minutes, remove from heat, cover for 10 minutes, perfect every time. Yes. Yes. So, you know, it does come down to, yes, Mary Berry started the soggy bottom.
Oh, the Bake Off, British, whatever.
Bake Off.
Yes.
Mary Berry and her soggy bottom. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So when it comes down to the air fryers, there are a couple of considerations. Now, you need to consider how much money you want to spend on the machine to start with.
Right.
You want to consider the volume that it holds, whether that's good enough for you. For example, a 2-liter basket is only going to hold 2 handfuls of chips, potato chips. So you guys call them fries in the States. Right. We call them chips. So 2 handfuls. That would be enough for Tanny and I. But that's all it holds, because you have to have enough room for the air to go around. Right. You can't overload the baskets because then there's no room for the air. They don't cook properly, all of that kind of stuff. So if you've got a family, you might want to have a 2-drawer that you can do 2 lots at once,
right?
Or a bigger basket. But also, if that's the main part of your meal you're having, because say, for example, you're having sausage and chips or egg and chips, you're going to want more of them.
Right.
So is it going to be more cost effective to do them in the air fryer, or is it going to be more cost effective to put the chip pan on? Or is it going to be more effective for you to put the oven on? Mm-hmm. These are things that you have to consider. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how you guys eat. Mm-hmm. What is more convenient for you guys? Mm-hmm. How much money you have to spend on it? Whether you can afford the electric to run it. Because, you know, is it going to be cheaper just to turn the oven on, or cheaper for you to run it, the air fryer? And considering the wattage, remember, the lower the wattage, the longer the cook time. Okay, so a lot of the cook times that you see on air fryers tends to be for a 2,000 watt machine, where a lot of the cheaper ones are all 800 watt machines. So you're going to have to play with the times there. Okay. Now,
and I think in all fairness, I think both US and UK, those would be the perfect stipulations. Look at it from everything. And really, ultimately, in the end, is it about the convenience? Will that suffice what you're looking for? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And if you are buying it to save money, is it really going to save you money?
Right. Yep. Ultimately, that is the question. Does it really save you money?
Does it really save you money? And my answer to that, I believe, would be, it depends how you use it.
I was going to say that's a hard answer because it depends on how you use it. Yeah.
It really is. And I think it's something that you have to think about, because it would very easily become one of those pieces of machinery, to me, that you might use once or twice and it ends up taking up room in the cupboard.
Yeah.
You know, because you find that actually it's not as useful as I thought it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there is another way that I can see it working quite effectively in a money saving capacity, and that's to use it in conjunction with a microwave. So if you're putting raw ingredients into the microwave to get them as hot as possible and as cooked off as possible, and then transferring those off, as long as you're not using your microwave for any more than 10 minutes, then putting those items into the air fryer to get them crispy for 10 minutes, then I can see it working and being quite useful, especially for someone on their own or for a couple that don't want to cook big meals all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where I can see it being really quite cost effective and quite useful to a lot of people, especially older people, and people who are living on their own. I can see it working then. But for those with families, I think it's something that you would have to really consider whether it's worth it or not.
And I agree.
Yeah. But I'm also aware that we have families in here that do use them and they find them very useful, and that's great for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not a problem. We're not saying because you use them in the way that you found that is useful to you, and that's cool. Okay, so
I agree.
There we go. Am I against them? No. If they work for you, cool. Am I going to buy one? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Our stove and oven are gas. It's not that much of an issue for us.
Right.
Because when it comes to summer and to winter, etc., our gas usage goes up in winter because obviously we have central heating, gas central heating.
Mm-hmm.
But we only use the oven maybe once a week. And when we do use it, we do a huge amount of cooking. That then gets saved, and then we defrost it and put it in the slow cooker, or we put it on a stove or whatever to heat it up. We don't even have a microwave because I don't like them. But that's personal, because I've seen some really nasty things happen with microwaves. But for those who use them, again, it's a great thing. So, yeah, I think if you are going to get one, do your research. Ask yourself the hard questions. Don't just go, oh, look, they're 30 quid. We're going to go and get one because that's what everyone says that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do research.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So, are we all cool?
I'm good. I think everything we were going to talk about got talked about. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Nanny Tam. That's very sweet. The thing is that when I'm doing these, does it really save you money sections, which are going to be every 4 weeks? There is going to be a lot of research that goes into them because we're planning them, weeks ahead of time. I want everyone to have all the information because we do need to ask these questions, because these are things that are being marketed to save people money. But then we need to ask the questions, is it really going to do that?
Yeah.
So we need to do the research, and we're making sure we do the research. So we have the research from here, and we have the research from over in the US through Tony, so that it's all, we can give you as much information as possible.
I think Carlene Vasseur says it right. In this specific topic today, it's really a personal choice.
Oh, absolutely.
But you will find some of the things we're going to talk about may not be that way. So
yes, exactly. So, but we will endeavor to give you as much information as possible with everything that we look at. And like I said at the beginning, we are not advocating for or against. We're not advocating for a specific company. We're just looking at what's out there.
Right. And let you make the best choice that you can with the information you have. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the importance. What have we got? Ashley says we have a full-size cooker, a pressure cooker, an air fryer, and a microwave. Sandwich, anyone? Things like air fryers, etc., seem to go through phases of being popular. It's like the whole Stanley Cup hype. Things go in and out of fashion. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the importance of what we're doing with these lives. So during the following year, because this series is going to go on for the whole year, so every 4 weeks we'll have a does it really save you money topic. If there's anything you want us to look into, let us know. Send us an email. You can send it to my email down here, or you can send it to Tony's email if you have Tony's email.
It's on my about page also.
Yes. Am I putting my notes and stuff in a blog post somewhere? I mean, you should ask me that. They will be available to Patreons, and I will be setting up memberships on here shortly. And they will be exactly the same price as Patreon, which is 99p. 99p, I tell you, for a month. So do you feel like you're putting a little bit in? But you are going to be getting a lot out of it. The other thing about these lives that we're going to be doing on the Fridays, they are going to be turned into workshops that I will be running in community centres around where I am and with what I'm doing. And we'll talk more about that in another time, because I can't talk to you about much of it at the moment at all. I can't tell you much at all, but that's all I can tell you. So, yeah. Right. So next week, we're going to be looking at homemade versus store-bought. Now, if you guys have an item or a product that you would like us to research, that can be homemade or store-bought, and look at the options and whether that will save you money and whether it's a better thing to do and whether it saves you time and expense and it's a better product than what you can buy and all that kind of stuff. Again, email me. Okay? Get hold of me on one of the socials. All my socials are linked up above and down below in the description below. So get a hold of me and say, Blue, oi, I want you to have a look at this versus a homemade version. I want you to have a look at that and that kind of stuff. Okay. So next week we'll be doing that. but I don't know what we're going to be choosing to look at yet because we haven't picked something. So it's going to be exciting and all new, and we have no clue. So, which is kind of the way that these lives go anyway, mostly. Yes. We'll get better at it. You'll see.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So, tomorrow, 4 a.m. GMT, which is tonight,
8 p.m. Oh,
8
tonight.
p.m.
Pacific
Eastern
Standard Time. No, Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific Standard Time? Oh, my God. PST, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Rude. Okay, so
Very.
Pacific Standard Time over on Tony's. Okay, we will be there. I have no idea what's going on.
We are going to be interviewing Stephanie from Large Diabetic Family Cooking.
Yay!
Yes.
That's awesome. No, not PMT, Ashley.
Mm-mm. No.
Not PMT, darling. All right. Okay. So we will see you there, or we will see you back here next week at the same time, same bat channel, talking about homemade versus store-bought. We will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Bye.
Love you guys heaps. See you later. Bye.